Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Unrooted Softball Edition. I'm Brian Brownfield, your host, and with me for episode number 3 is none other than sophomore utility player, though she's been catching a lot this year, Teddi Diedrich. Teddi, thanks so much for joining me.
No problem.
So let's start by getting to know you a little bit better. Your hometown is Firebaugh, California, which I didn't know is actually about 50 miles or so east of where I'm from in Salinas. It seems like a pretty small town, am I right with that?
Oh yeah, 2-stoplight kind of town.
Ooh, so what's the population?
I think we're roughly 7,000. Yeah.
I wouldn't even guess 7,000.
Yeah, we're actually pretty big compared to Dos Palace, which is about 15 miles or so next to us. But Mendota has more than us, which is about, I think, 12,000 or.
So then the question is, what is there to do in Firebaugh?
That is the ultimate question. Well, personally, like growing up, I've spent a lot of time outside playing sports. We don't have any big things to do around there. No movie theaters, nothing. It's really just eating and grocery stores and gas stations. About it.
Good barbecue?
No, actually, just a lot of Mexican restaurants.
Ooh, okay.
So we
just
have
as good.
Mexican restaurants.
Just
I
as
love,
good.
Yeah. But besides that, like I would say supporting our community is a big one because that's really all there is to do. Support football, basketball, softball, of course, and pretty much community-based, I would say. That's
perfect way to be. You are getting some time at catcher this year, as I said in the intro, and you're giving some much-needed rest to Megan Wright, so she's not having to catch every single game on the schedule. How has head coach Kristen Hardy helped develop you as a catcher this year?
Well, I've caught for my high school for 4 years, and I took a break last year. Coach Lyle had me in the outfield, but this year Coach Hardy brought me back to catching, and I really do enjoy catching. It's really fun. She's helped me develop fast mentality-wise, because it's faster than high school, obviously. College is different. And I would say just quickness overall, being ready for anything when you're catching, feet work, transfers. She's really focused on our everyday stuff, and we do literally EDDs every single day, so it's a lot of work, but she's really helped out a lot, and I think it shows.
One way you're utilized as a player is a pinch runner in crucial situations, so you don't fit the mold of a slow-running catcher by any means. How important is base running to you as a player?
I would say extremely important because you have that one opportunity and you have to take it, and it's hard because you want to be aggressive, but you also want to do what's right for the team, and that means scoring. And at the end of the day, like if you don't score, it's kind of like, oh, well, why'd we put her in? But I would say it just keeps you in the game a lot of the time because you have to know what's happening outs-wise and know what the situation is if we're trying to score, if we're just trying to move runners over, and just stuff like that.
Now, speaking of the offense, it was a little bit sluggish, it seemed, over the weekend. You guys had a rare triple header against Southern Oregon University. They received votes in the early preseason NAIA polls. You lost the first 2 and you won the finale of the series. How big of a test was that for the team early on?
Well, early on, we didn't know that we were going to play triple header till the day before.
And neither did we, for what it's worth.
Yeah, it was just kind of thrown at us. So that day, we all kind of just had to have the mentality that we're going all in. We know it's going to be a long day, and we knew that we were going to be rotating in and out, which is a lot of the team likes that, but doesn't because they're used to our starting 9. And so definitely knowing that there's going to be switches and having to adjust to that is a challenge. But I believe, like as an overall unit, we come together pretty well, and it shows. So.
Now, you guys only scored 8 runs in the 3 games, but a lot of that, at least from my perspective, had to do with the wind blowing in from the Fremont Hills. What impact did that have on the bats for both sides?
I would definitely say we came off a little bit slow. Usually we're a very aggressive team hitting, and we weren't doing that from the beginning, but once we did start hitting, it was more or less nothing's falling. Like we were hitting line shots, good gappers. I think Brooke Minisini had 2 line drives, like 2 feet from the shortstop, and she snagged him both times. And we were just hitting a lot right to him and just wasn't falling. The opposing team, they had shots that got in the gaps, basically. I would say that was the biggest thing, was theirs were falling and ours just weren't.
Yeah, there were probably, like you said, I mean, several instances of that. I know, like you said, Brooke had a few. I think there was one sequence, I think it was in a 2-inning span where you guys had like 4 lineouts within 5 batters. I mean, that's absolutely unheard of. You were behind the dish for Victoria Cervantes in Game 3. You caught her, and she was masterful in her Menlo debut. What did you see from her?
A lot of confidence from one of our freshmen, I would say. She definitely came out ready to play. She's been out for 2 weeks with a wrist injury, but I would say you couldn't tell. She came off, she pitched off that mound and she was just firing it in. Even when she did start missing her spots or was struggling a little bit, you can tell that she was confident in her team members behind her. She didn't show any doubt that we were going to get these 3 outs. So I would say that was the biggest thing from her that I love to see from a freshman pitcher.
Yeah, 7 innings, no earned runs, and a couple of strikeouts in a debut. That's not too bad right
she did
there.
really good.
Do these early season games against stout opponents help ready you for conference play?
Definitely. I feel that when we go out there against opponents that are usually ranked, it's more or less like, let's show them that we can do this. And usually it's a pretty good game. We hit and we have fun, and that's, I would say, Menlo Softball is we like to have fun on the field, and it shows when we do, and we don't put pressure on ourselves. And even though it's against ranked opponents, we like to play and just shine.
Yeah, and you guys started to have that mentality last year, cracking the top 30 last year, as a matter of fact. I think you got up to spot number 26, just 1 away from being in the top 25 for the first time in program history. So when you guys face these good opponents, you guys have been playing pretty well.
Yeah, we definitely like to play up against them and just show them that Menlo Softball's here and we're not supposed to be looked over. So.
Now, you guys aren't supposed to have a home game until March. That's changing this weekend, of course, now with the doubleheader against San Rafael being here at Wonderlic Field on Saturday. But on the initial schedule, you weren't supposed to have a home game until March when you were back into conference play. Is that difficult being on the road for so long, and how does that help you guys bond as a team?
Being on the road is definitely mentally challenging for us. With school itself, that's a lot, and being away from classes. Looking at the schedule, we were all like, wow, like we're going to miss quite a lot of Fridays and a lot of classes. But I would say it's fun. It's a break from the normal routine. You know, being Menlo, you can get into your routine of going to class, going to practice, and I think it takes us out of that routine, which is nice. But we are with each other 24/7.
Yeah.
So being on the road, we're with each other in bands, in the charter bus, in the hotel. It can definitely, it brings us together, but sometimes you just, especially living with your most of your teammates, it can definitely be a little rough sometimes, but we all really enjoy each other and have a good time.
Well, if you guys have been bonding, I think it's time to throw a few of them under the bus a little bit. Let's transition into our final segment called Brownie Bites. I'm going to ask you 3 random questions, rapid fire style.
Okay.
Answer as much as you feel the need to answer.
Okay.
You ready to go? First question, what teammate would be the most bored in Firebaugh?
My roommate, Ari.
Why?
Definitely. From our talks, she's a SoCal girl, so she has everything in the palm of her hand. She can go to the beach. It's like 20 minutes, I think, from her house. She has movies and any kind of food you can think of right there by her. And from talking about like, oh yeah, this is what I do, she's kind of like, what? Like, that's what you have to do? And I'm just like, yeah, that's what there is to do in Firebaugh. Nothing, but it is what it is.
Has she ever been anywhere remotely similar to Firebaugh?
I don't think she has. We're trying to see if she come to Firebaugh over Easter break, depending on circumstances, but I think it would be interesting for her to see what Firebaugh is all about.
Quite different from SoCal, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Question number 2, which teammate could you beat the most in a home run derby?
Oh, that's hard. I would say maybe our pitchers. Jordan, because our pitchers don't hit, and so it's like, well, Sarah does. Sarah hits, so I would say probably.
And Sarah hit a home run too, for what it's worth.
Yeah, let's not go against Sarah. So. I would say Jordan, Kennedy, and Victoria, just because I get more reps than them all the time.
Okay.
So there's just that.
When I was out at practice last week getting ready for the interview with Jessica Madison, it was interesting because Jordan started taking part in the opposite field hitting drills that you guys were doing, and she was bragging about how she was going to beat everybody. I think she was in a group with Bryce Etzler and Regina Juarez, and she was actually making contact, but she didn't keep much in between the white lines.
Damn.
So
we'll have to go at it and see what happens.
I think so. I'd love to see a little home run derby between you two. We might have to schedule that here in the coming weeks. Last question, number 3. Which teammate would be the best at switch hitting?
I would say Brooke Shigematsu, Shiggy.
Okay.
Definitely, because she's just our little athlete. She always says, well, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that. But when it comes down to it, she is an athlete, and she could definitely do anything she puts her mind to.
Well, isn't the rumor that shortstops are supposed to be the best athletes on the field? I think you might disagree with that a little bit, being a catcher.
Oh yeah, catchers.
Well, I think that just about does it for us. Teddi, thank you so much for joining me.
No
really
problem.
appreciate it. Softball this week is now at home on Saturday. They will have a doubleheader starting at either 11 or 12 o'clock. Time has not yet been determined. They will be hosting Dominican University out at Wonderlic Field. Live stats will be provided on menloathletics.com, so be sure to tune in for that. And then they will be back on the road again for a tournament down in Southern California hosted by Biola the following weekend. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. Stop by again next week when Teddi Diedrich will pick the next interviewee on Unrooted Softball Edition, so you won't want to miss who she decides to throw under the bus in the most ultimate of ways. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
And these are my people, this is where I come from. We're giving His life everything we've got and then some.